Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I think today's one might be a little bit longer. If it winds up getting anywhere close to 30 minutes, I hope it doesn't, but if it does, I may throw in 2 ad breaks. I'm not going to make this a habit. Speaking of ad breaks, I don't know if all of you have noticed the increased number of ads on videos. I mentioned this a while back, that Google was changing their ad policy to start auto-inserting ads for people anytime they've got a video over 8 minutes. And I turned this off for mine because to me, if I'm watching any video probably less than 15 minutes and there's an ad in the middle, kind of irritating. But just for grins, I let it do auto ads on one of my videos before I posted it. So you're not going to actually see it happen, but I did it before I posted it, and it was like a 16-minute video, and it put in 4 ad breaks. That's crazy. You will never get that out of me, I promise. Now, another thing that I want to point out, I think most of you get it, but based on some of the comments I got during my fasting video and my resistant rice video and my perfect keto bar video, apparently some people don't realize that I pre-record videos. I actually record videos oftentimes a week or more before they go live on YouTube. Now, my channel members get to see them as soon as I post them, but I still have sort of a schedule, sort of a cadence I like to follow. And that means recording very often in advance. It also helps then if I'm doing something like a fast and I can't be cooking, I already have some of these videos, or if I go on a vacation, or if I get sick. The reason I'm telling you this is it's especially sort of applicable in terms of podcasts, because I will record these podcasts typically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something like that, and then they post on Monday. So sometimes I've got to sort of project myself into the future, and talk about it like, hey, it's actually Monday, and you and I are sitting across the table from one another, having a cup of coffee. But oftentimes, I don't know what day it is, because I'm filming for the future, plus since I've been, unemployed, self-employed, whatever you want to call it, for quite some time, and doing serious keto really is a 7-day-a-week thing for me. I don't really distinguish Saturdays and Sundays as being a weekend. Those can be just as active in terms of cooking and recipe testing and filming videos. So if I ever seem confused about what day it is on a video, especially these podcasts, that's why. So Wednesday night, I ended my extended fast. And the first thing I want to say is to all of the people that joined in on that, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for the comments to me, to each other, the support that you gave one another. And it felt really pretty cool, doing this as a community. I'm definitely going to keep doing these at least once a quarter. There's a chance I may do one yet again in December. But if not December, definitely in January. Now, I posted a recap video, which I'll link to right up here. Some other thoughts that I had about it. First, I think that extended fasts, especially if you're someone who used to be obese and maybe still are, and used to just be controlled by food. So I'm describing myself here right now. I was obese and food was my life. Food owned me. Beer owned me. They had absolute control over my behavior. And to go then 3 days, 4 days, longer, without food, it is this incredibly liberating sensation that food no longer owns me. And I can make my decisions about food, when I'm going to eat, what I'm going to eat. That's a very, very empowering thing that I love about fasting. There's a lot to love about fasting. The mental clarity, the energy, the extra hours that you have in every day because you're not prepping food and you're not eating. All of that stuff is great. For me personally, probably the one downside is irritability with my family and their eating habits. I think a lot of us keto folks, when we've got non-keto people in our family or friends circle, and we see them eat, we just kind of shake our heads a little bit because we know what keto does for us, and we see them going down this path, this carb addict path, and it's frustrating. It's especially frustrating when you're on a fast, at least for me. The number of times I hear my family say, "I'm starving," when they just ate a couple of hours ago, they don't know what starving is. In fact, I don't know that they know what true hunger is. And certainly, the notion of doing a fast for them, because of their carb addiction, is essentially impossible. I think fasting, when you've been leading a keto lifestyle, is far easier. I think our bodies are just more in tune with food. We don't have that sugar dependency, which brings me back to my frustration. So my wife, love her dearly, she'll have dinner and then we'll go to watch a movie or watch something on Netflix. So we just had dinner not that long ago, maybe a half an hour ago we finished dinner, and over the course of an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, she'll have 2 separate snacks. She'll have chips or popcorn or a candy bar or chocolate covered raisins. I think I don't know how I would describe it. Back when I was younger, I used to dip smokeless tobacco. I quit once Connor was 1 and he saw what I was doing and he pointed at me and he was like, "What?" or, "What's that?" And that was it. I was done at that point because I didn't want to lead that kind of example. So I stopped. And then I found that whenever I would see anyone else using smokeless tobacco, it kind of disgusted me. That's sort of the same feeling I get now when I see someone snacking and completely dependent on high-carb foods every hour or so. But aside from that, fast was great. I really kind of felt like I went off on a little bit of a rant there. Fast was great. I loved it. It was great. Now, with some of the extra time that I had, I read the book Life in the Fasting Lane by Dr. Jason Fung and company. It is a very quick read. Dare I say, a fast read? I blasted through it in a couple of sittings. Here is my review. First off, this book, although I think Jason Fung's name is first, it was co-written with Eve Mayer, who's an entrepreneur and a speaker, and she really kind of brings the normal person element to this book. She goes through a lot of personal history, a lot of things that I think most of us can relate to in terms of dieting, how our bodies feel, the psychology of being overweight, the psychology of fasting. I think she really lends a very everyday person vibe to this book. Another co-author is Megan Ramos, and she is a clinical educator and researcher. And she's able to bring in a lot of other examples of people she has consulted with, patients, etc., and their stories. And then finally, you've got Dr. Jason Fung, who I just love. I think he is a tremendous author. I love the way that he explains things. He's incredibly smart, yet he communicates in a way that is very understandable. I love his use of metaphor and simile to describe how certain processes work. I can't say enough good stuff about Dr. Jason Fung. I do sort of have a couple of issues with this book, though. First, for a book where Dr. Fung is listed as the primary author, he probably gets about 1/4 of the pages in this book. It is probably 50% Eve Mayer. And that starts out good, but as the book progresses, I felt it was a little too much her story and not enough on fasting. I would have loved to have seen more from Dr. Fung in this, just because of the way that he explains the science of all of this it's so interesting to me. I would have liked to have seen more of that. Also, Eve's perspective is that of a female. So this is sort of your mileage may vary on this. As a guy, there was a lot of stuff in there that I just couldn't relate to. I think if you're a woman and you're reading this, then you're probably going to appreciate a lot of the stories that Eve shares. The book also goes into a lot of the psychological element leading up to a fast. And then once it actually gets into talking about the actual fast itself, it seems like they kind of skim through that. I think that this book could have done a lot more detail in terms of the types of fasts, a 5-2 fast or various intermittent fastings. I think it could have done a better job explaining what to expect from your body and your mind over the course of an extended fast. There are videos out on YouTube by Dr. Sten Ekberg, Dr. Mindy Pelz, that do a far better job, I think, describing what to expect as you go through an extended fast. I think they could have dove into autophagy a lot more deeply. Ultimately, when I got done reading Life in the Fasting Lane, what I really wanted to do was reread the obesity code, which I think everybody ought to read. I think before anybody says anything about insulin or carbs or anything, they should read the obesity code. Fantastic book. But it also made me curious about Dr. Funk's earlier book on fasting, The Complete Guide to Fasting, which I'm probably going to order and read. Anyhow, I'm going to link to all of these things, the videos that I described, and both of those books down in the description below. On the whole, I'm glad I read it. It's a good book. Can I unequivocally recommend it? I recommend it with reservations. And I described what those were. Also during the fast, if you watched any of my videos during that period last week, you probably noticed that I sounded a little congested, like some nasal congestion. And I also mentioned in my video, my recap video for the fast, that I had lost my sense of smell and taste. Pretty sure this was a sinus infection. Back a week ago Saturday, this is again, I'm screwed up on dates, I was feeling it sort of a little bit in the sinuses, I thought, and I decided to use a neti pot. And I've been told by people that you should use distilled water in it. And I didn't. I just used the shower water and the saline packet. And I got done and I really felt like something was still, I had some residual stuff in my sinuses. I could kind of feel it, by my ears, where like my ears needed to pop. It just sort of felt a little bit rugged, sinus-wise for the rest of the day. And then this sort of progressed over the course of the week to the point that back around Tuesday, I lost my sense of taste and smell. Fortunately, I think I am better now. Well, mostly better. You can probably hear it in my voice that I don't sound quite as sinusy, and my taste buds are coming back, which is great because I got my fatty coffee. After a few days of just black coffee, getting back to this fatty coffee, that creaminess, love it. So I'm excited to get back into the kitchen. I'm excited to start doing some more cooking recipes, and that kind of puts a bow on this whole fasting topic. So let's move on. I mentioned in the last video that Amazon Prime Day is right around the corner. In fact, if you're watching this on Monday the 12th, get ready because it's going to be the 13th and 14th. I got out into my Amazon store and I've done a little bit of sorting. So you can get out in the storefront and look at any given appliance or gadget and see why I own it, why I would recommend it. I don't suspect that you're going to see a lot of deals on Prime Day for ingredients. So it's probably not the day that you're going to get a stock up on Bocha Sweet, for example. In terms of appliances, and I'm basing this on history, what I've seen in the past on Prime Day. Kitchen appliances, I predict, are going to be a big selling item. I think you're going to see a lot of lightning sales, and here are some of the products that I suspect you're going to see and that I would actually recommend if you don't have them. Every year, this is where Instant Pot goes on sale, and there's a lot of Instant Pot models out there. So if you're looking for a multi-cooker, something that can do rice and yogurt and pressure cooking and sautéing and what else is there? There's they have 5-in-1, 7-in-1, 9-in-1. They do an awful lot. They're pretty slick units. Slow cooker. And they're the sort of unit that will allow you potentially to get rid of other appliances. So you can kind of downsize a little bit with an Instant Pot. I suspect also you're going to see various air fryers. And I just got that Ninja Foodie air fryer / grill / griddle thing. It's the 4-in-1. Very happy with it. Really, really like that. It smokes almost not at all, which is cool. And it seems to run a lot more quietly than the Philips unit that I used to have. And honestly, I think any Ninja product is a good product. They make some really solid stuff. If you're looking for a quality product that's not necessarily going to break the bank, Ninja, good stuff. Their blenders, although I don't have one, I've heard nothing but good stuff about their blenders. So if you're looking for a more high-powered blender and you don't want to quite get into that Blendtec or Vitamix sort of price range, Ninja could be a good way to go for you. And I think if you're interested in getting into nut milk or nut butters, having a high-powered blender, good call. Two other appliance types that you're going to see more activity out of in some future videos are sous vide and the dehydrator. So sous vide, I love sous vide. In fact, anybody that does sous vide typically loves sous vide. It's an amazing way to cook at controlled temperatures. Once you have a sous vide steak, you're never going back. I plan on starting to put some sous vide videos into the mix. It's not going to be like a total sous vide channel, but the price now is coming down on immersion circulators. They're small. I use the Joule, but Anova makes a good one. There's a ton of them out there, and they've really gotten into sort of a consumer-friendly price range. So maybe keep an eye out for those. I also am doing more stuff with the dehydrator. You may have seen the video that I did on the ultrafine almond flour that I made from my nut milk pulp. I'm also doing some stuff, and this is a sneak peek here, dehydrating canned chicken. I then run it through a spice grinder to create a powder. And this is going to be an element in a couple of recipes. So, like I said, sneak peek, probably going to be in my chicken and the biscuit keto cracker and in my savory pie crust. I won't be out on Amazon Prime Day myself. I'll tell you why in a minute. So I won't be able to go and try and target special deals for you and let you know, in the comments on this video or in a community comment. So you'll have to search on your own. Just remember that if you go in to Amazon through any of my links, whether you buy the product that I link to or not, or if you go through my store link down in the description below and buy anything from my store or not, anything you purchase for the next 24 hours, I get a small commission on. And it's entirely up to you what you want to do with that information. We're going to take a brief ad break right now, and when we come back, I'll tell you why I won't be around for Prime Day and also give you a pretty big family update. Before I start the family update, I want to talk about something that just irritated me this morning. I was looking at my Facebook feed, and there was an ad that said, on keto, but still want to eat bread, pasta, sugar, like real bread, real pasta, real sugar. Here's this product that you mix into your coffee, and you can eat all of that stuff and still be fine. And it's just powdered MCT oil is all it is. And I forget the name of the product. It's like Elate or something like that. I don't remember specifically. But I thought, what a scam. What a scam this is. You're trying to tell people that they can start eating this stuff, again, that they shouldn't be eating, and that they'll be fine, just so long as they take in MCT oil. Now, I realize that fats do have a blunting influence on glucose absorption. Dr. Fung talks about this in the obesity code, and I certainly saw that in my resistant rice experiments. But I really feel like this ad was very misleading. And it doesn't take into account some of the other reasons that people do keto. It's not just about what we eat and what we don't eat. It's sort of the why we don't do it. And blood glucose is only one of the whys. Inflammation is a huge one. How things affect our gut biome, another reason. So yeah, I saw this ad and I just thought, I hope people don't buy into this. This is just, it's BS, and I hate predatory ad practices like that. So the reason I will not be around the 13th and 14th, it's actually, are we leaving? We might be leaving the 12th, so today, as you're watching this, but I will definitely be out of pocket on the 13th. My wife and I, our anniversary is October 14th. It's our 24th anniversary, and we're heading up to Door County, Wisconsin, and we're going to try out a couple little wineries. We're having a very romantic dinner that night. Well, not the night of the 14th, the night of the 12th. Tonight, if you're watching this on Monday. And it's a time for us to really be alone together. We haven't had that in a very, very long time. In fact, I don't remember the last time she and I just had a couple of days together, just walking around, shopping, hiking, hitting some little wineries. it's going to be exciting and fun and hopefully romantic as well. Now we've got a couple of other fairly big family updates. So I have talked a couple of times in this podcast about my son Connor going off to join the Army National Guard and go to boot camp. And he was stuck in reception for quite a long time. And it was really getting frustrating for him. I shared some of the details with you on a prior podcast. He basically described it in a letter as a place where everybody is slowly going insane. And all he wanted was to just get into boot camp, go through boot camp so he could get home, get back to his son. And they had announced that the whole group were going off to boot camp on October 1st. And then on the 29th, they got everybody out, I guess out in the court or whatever, and selected a group of 20 that would not be going. And Connor was in that group. In fact, a lot of Army National Guard people were in that group. And these are typically people that have families that they want to get back to, children that they want to get back to, or they want to get back in time to start second semester of college. And Connor told me that a number of these guys just broke down. They just broke down and wept. And I heard about this, and it was heartbreaking for me as well, because I know that once he starts boot camp, then the clock in my mind starts ticking, and I know he's coming home. I believe it was Viktor Frankl in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, where he says that if a human knows when the pain is going to end, he or she can tolerate just about anything. And if you've ever had one of these things where like you've got to do a wall squat or hold a plank or something like that, if someone tells you how long you're expected to make it, you can hit that and you can exceed it. But when someone doesn't tell you what the average time is for your age or weight or whatever, you're going to quit out early. So for me, just knowing that Connor had started, that was going to be a huge element. But then also, as he described a lot of the crazy behavior that was going on in reception, I wanted him away from that. I wanted him to get into boot camp where it's structured, and I just felt he would be safer there. So when he FaceTimed me on the 29th and told me that he was still stuck in reception and they had no ETA for when he was going to go to boot camp, it was a hard pill to swallow for me. And I know a number of you have said, I'm praying for you, Steve, and for Connor. You don't need to pray for me so much. Pray for Connor. And some people don't believe in the power of prayer. I do. I'm very grateful for all of you who have told me that you're praying for Connor, and I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are praying for Connor. So on October 2nd, he FaceTimed me, and he said, Dad, they just put our unit into boot camp. So he started boot camp last Monday. That would be, I guess, the 5th. And he'll still be home for Christmas. So I'm feeling pretty good. Oh boy, I'm such a big softie. I hope I didn't make anybody else cry. So now, here's the next interesting tidbit. Courtney wants to join the Army National Guard. So next week, she has her physical and everything, and I'm not sure when the ship out date would be for her, whether it would be at second semester, sometime, right after Christmas and New Year's, or if it would be at the end of second semester, so into the summer. And I'm handling that a little bit better. And it's not because I love one child more than the other, but it's sort of, for those of you that are empty nesters, you've probably been through this experience as well. The first child you send off to college is the tough one. The last one you send off to college, it feels pretty good. In fact, when we went to orientation for my daughter, and they had all the parents in this auditorium at the university, the person leading the orientation said, all right, parents, how many of you for this is your first child going off to college? And you got a bunch of people raising their hand, kind of. And then they asked, for how many of you is this your last child going off to college? And it was just like, woo, celebration. it's going to be kind of weird. I'll be getting Connor back, and then Courtney will be leaving. But hopefully by next summer, we're all sort of a family unit again. And who knows, at that point then, we'll probably be, my wife and I, pretty comfortable with the notion of them moving out, getting their own place, being adults. Still, this has been a crazy, crazy year for a lot of reasons. It's been crazy just because of what's going on out in the world. It's crazy going on with the insane politics we've got going on in this country. It's been super crazy from a family standpoint. But for the first time in a while, I'm starting to feel optimistic again, which is a good feeling. And I'm sleeping way better. So I think that's all I have for this podcast. My name is Steve, and I approve this message. Thanks for watching or listening.